Welcome to The Fool of a Took. Chapter 3 of Book 2, The Ring Goes South. We are in Cork, Ireland on a fun little New Year's trip.
So happy New Year's.
So happy New Year's. I played our Welcome Fool of a Took song here with this amazing little flute I got in Dublin. I think it only plays one note though.
Oh.
3.
Incorrect.
It plays 2 notes. Thank you so much for joining us for our New Year's Day special. We are so excited to be doing this podcast from Ireland. We're in fucking Ireland.
We made it.
Yes.
Yeah, not only are we in Ireland, we're in Cork, this beautiful southern city of Cork right now. We've been in Ireland all week. We've been traveling around, eating and drinking everything in sight. We've been hiking. We've been not sleeping at all. We stayed up. We saw the sunrise today at a stone circle, basically, from 3,000 years ago. This has been a crazy fucking week.
Yeah.
So we're here to close this out at the Montenotte Hotel, and we are so thankful for them for providing this beautiful room to us. Absolutely gorgeous.
Shit.
They shut down the whole cocktail bar for us, basically. But we're here to talk about a very fun chapter. The Ring Goes South, and so did we.
The last episode, we covered the Council of Elrond. So the council commences. 12 people are in the room at this point. We've got Frodo, Bilbo, Gandalf, Elrond, Aragorn, Glóin, Boromir, Glorfindel. So these are all people we've met before. We have 3 new elves and 1 new dwarf that we have not met before. So basically, everyone is sharing what's been going on in their little corner of Middle-earth. We learned that Sauron's power is growing, and he's enlisting allies to help him find his one ring. We learned that Saruman has been misleading all of the wise and intends to join Sauron. Once all the stories are told, they have to decide what to do with this ring. They debate hiding it, using it as a weapon, and finally conclude that it must be destroyed where it was made, in the fires of Mount Doom in Mordor. Frodo offers to take the ring, and Sam, who has apparently been eavesdropping in the corner this whole time, again, is going with him.
I love that he pops out.
Yep.
He's like, wait!
Not without Sam.
It's his signature jerk move.
Well, the first time he was forcibly pulled into the room.
Yeah. Gandalf yanked him through a window the first time. This time he was in. He was ready.
He's ready to
Yeah.
rock.
His confidence is growing.
Yep.
Yes.
He understood the dance this time.
Yeah.
He's just getting ahead of it. But that brings us to Fellowship of the Ring, Book 2, Chapter 3, The Ring Goes South. So everybody's been to the post-meeting meeting, right? Where everybody gets together and goes, what the fuck actually just happened? And because Pippin and Merry are actually asking that question, and they are livid that Sam gets to go. Little spy Sam. Yep. How did he weasel his way in? But ultimately what was decided is that they don't know who's going. They put the story together. They decided that the ring must be destroyed. But everyone's got to chill while Elrond sends scouts to every corner of the compass. North, south, east, west. They got to make sure the riders are actually done. They got to get body count on them. They got to make sure there's nothing else waiting because they need to be sure that when the ring leaves Rivendell, it's not immediately snatched up. So these scouts go out and Sam's just like, well, we got to wait for that? Guys, winter is coming. I just want to say that for everybody in the room.
Womp womp.
And Gandalf's like, yeah, well, what are you going to do? Maybe should have left earlier. What do you know? So they're just going to pass time. And Frodo's like, oh, I'll spend it with Bilbo. And he's like, yeah, this would be great. We'll read books and share stories and you can give me stuff. And Frodo's like, well, how long are we going to be here for? And Bilbo's like, I don't know, man. It's really hard to tell how time passes here. Just enjoy the ride. So it turns out 2 months pass. And then the scouts start coming back. And these are like, the Rangers have been contacted. Elrond's sons go back out. Aragorn goes with them. Other powerful elves are going in every direction. They go to Mirkwood. They go to the Lonely Mountain. They go south. They go north to the Troll Country. And they start filtering back. And they say, there's nothing. There's no spies of the enemy. There's no monsters of the enemy. But we did find 8 dead horses and some cloaks.
Right.
So essentially, everybody shrugs their shoulders and go, 8 out of 9, ain't so bad. Yeah. I guess we're clear. So
not my favorite.
Right. So Elrond's like, well, back in my day, we did this the right way with an army. This time, it's got to be through secrecy because we do not have strength. And because symbols are important and you know, in Tolkien's mythology, words and symbols are power. If there's 9 riders, 9 ring wraiths, there will be 9 companions of the ring, 9 walkers. The fellowship of the ring will be 9 individuals. And he says, Frodo must go. Sam is going with him. Gandalf is going because this may be his last biggest job. Aragorn is going to represent men. Legolas is going to represent elves. Gimli is going to represent dwarves. Boromir is going to go too. And hey, that leaves 2 slots. And I'm going to pick some vetted professionals, some actual useful people. And Merry and Pippin are like, what about us?
Excuse me.
Yeah, it's excuse. And Elrond's like, and Elrond's like, what? What do you mean, excuse? No, you should go back to the Shire, and whatever it is hobbits need to do to prepare for the apocalypse, you should tell them it's coming. And they're like, pass. And Gandalf stands up. He says, you know, they've come this far. Hobbits are kind of hardy. They surprise people. That they should be allowed to come. And Elrond's like, I'll meet you in the middle. Yes to Mary, no to the baby. And Pippin's like, you can do whatever you want. You can send me where you want, but I'm going to walk 5 miles that way and then 15 miles back, and I'm going to find him, and I'm going. And Elrond, again, who numbers matter to, symbols matter to in this moment, is like, well, okay, you know what? You guys can eat up the real men slots. We won't have professionals. We'll have more children. This, fine, whatever. Because again, back in my day, we did this the right way.
Right.
It's your funeral.
Yes. So because Aragorn is going, they're like, we're going to reforge the sword that was broken, the sword of the Númenóreans, the Lines, the heirs of Isildur. We're going to reforge that blade for you. It's going to be called the Flame of the West.
Oh my God, it's so cool.
Best name.
It's going to be loaded with runes and power, and you are going to war, son. And everybody's like, yeah, this is super cool. And Aragorn is like ready to throw up. Boromir and Aragorn are both going to Minas Tirith. Like that's the way they're going. So they're going to come along. Again, Frodo's still super stoked. They just got Gandalf and Aragorn. Sam feels a little guilty about Merry and Pippin. No comment. He was not consulted about Legolas or Gimli.
Right.
So that's it. That's the Fellowship of the Ring. And so they all start gearing up. Legolas, again, because it's they're going for secrecy. It's not going to be a lot of people. It's literally just 9 of them. And Bill the pony.
Bill the pony.
Which is the pony they brought from Bree.
And what did we call that pony?
Lazarus?
Yeah, so he has a new name.
Yeah.
It turns out it's Bill.
Yeah,
That's not fair.
Well, Sam just started calling him Bill, which is probably short for Bill's pony.
Right. It's so great.
Right. So
Or Bill Fernie was such a jerk.
Right.
He named his own dying donkey after himself.
Well, it was a pony.
but Bill,
Excuse me, his own dying pony after himself.
and Tolkien makes a point of saying that Bill the pony is the only one who's not like really depressed by what's about to happen. So one of the other things that they get loaded up with is Bilbo is like, hey, I stole a bunch of my old stuff out of the museum in Michael Delving before I left. Here's my old sword, and here is a mithril coat of chainmail, which is like lots of little interwoven metal links and rings. It's incredibly light. It's very, very strong. But do me a favor, don't tell anybody you've got it on. It's a secret. Keep it a secret. So he wears it under his clothes.
Frodo has too many secrets.
Frodo, yes. I think that's actually probably like a theme with him. He is burdened by these secrets, and every step of the way, people are giving him more secrets to keep. It doesn't feel healthy.
It's a tough life.
It's bad for your digestion. So it's the end of December. Because again, they had to wait 2 months for the scouts to come back. They come back, and Elrond's like, you got 7 days. Pack it up and get out. Like, you got to go. Oh, and also travel by night as a new thing because, you know, whatever spies the enemy has out are going to be more active in the day. And remember, they've been traveling by day, and Gandalf said, do not travel at night while the ring wraiths are out. Well, now they're assuming the ring wraiths are dead or scattered or gone or powerless. but they're probably all screaming their way back to Mordor. So Sauron probably already knows what's up, and he's already getting ready for the next punch. So they have to go before whatever the next wave is arrives. So what are they going to do? They're going to roll out, lightly armed, and Boromir decides to show everybody that he's really into ska because he's got this horn, his war horn that he blows all the time.
Oh my God.
And he's like, watch this. And like it echoes through the valley. And it's like everyone who heard that was like, what the fuck? Like jumps up.
He goes to blow it and he goes, never had to knock on wood.
And Gandalf and Elrond are like, this is a secret mission, right? And Boromir's like, maybe for you, I'm not a thief, I march.
Oh my God.
And Elrond's like, maybe you should wait until you're in Gondor to blow that again. Because it is very loud. You were correct. And everyone heard it. And that's kind of my point. Boromir's like, that is the whole point.
And it's like a very clear warning call, right?
Yeah, it is a war horn.
Yeah,
It is like a really angry French horn. They're all going to go. They've got... Gandalf's got Glamdring, which is his magic sword. Aragorn's got a magic sword. Apparently, Boromir's got an exceptionally big horn. Frodo has some secrets. The hobbits have their knives they stole from the barrows. And Elrond is like, here's a pony. It's your pony, but here. And also, I packed you some extra underwear. You're going to need it. It's December and you're going into the mountains. And I would love to give you more help. But again, this is not back in my day when we did things the right way. This is you sneaking off because that's where we all are now. Yeah. Because you fucked it up last time, Aragorn. Not personally, but
Your ancestors.
Yeah. 2,500 years ago when they did this the right way and won, not so much.
Not so much.
Not so much.
It's like a week ago to me.
Right. Well, okay, so that's another point, right? Is like Elrond was like, Peregrine Took, you are like a baby. You can't go on a deadly adventure. And he's like, yeah, well, I'm going. And Elrond's like, if you had any idea what was going to happen to you, you would not be saying that, idiot. Like, because if you think about it, if Elrond is 40 years old, for us as like a person, a 40-year-old talking to, not that that's old. That's very young, actually, these days. It's very,
Yeah.
Pippin would be the equivalent of like 12 days old.
That's so true.
And he's just like, all right, baby, you want to, all right, fucking go.
All right, you toddler.
Right. And that's the whole time everybody's like, we're going to go. It'll be fine. And Elrond and Gandalf are going, they don't know. And if you knew, you would not be going if you knew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's just over and over and over again. And meanwhile, Boromir and Aragorn are like, well, we're just going to Minas Tirith. We're gonna set this right.
We're gonna be snakes.
Damn it.
And Sam is okay. You gonna cut all that? Okay.
I might keep it. I might cut it.
So they're gonna bring their new magic sword, the Flame of the West, and they're gonna come down to Minas Tirith, which again, Aragorn is like the heir to the kingdom of Gondor. And Boromir left to go get a riddle answered and came back with a new king. Like, that's not going to go over well with dad. Right? Because Boromir's dad is currently the Lord of Gondor. And meanwhile, Sam is like packing his own bags. He's like, cook pans, check. Rope.
His prized possession.
Yeah.
Right?
He brings the frying pan. That is like, they will not go anywhere without good meals. Also, he's packing like all the little things that he thinks Frodo has forgotten to bring. So that way when Frodo's like, man, I really wish I had my whatever, Sam can be like, you mean this? Look what Sam remembered to bring.
It's his source of pride.
Ass. Yeah.
Right?
Except rope.
But come on, you've done that before. Like you're packing up for a trip or something and you see something that you think has been forgotten. You just like snatch it and throw it in a pocket. Sam's got a lot of pockets.
He's wearing cargo pants.
Yeah. But the one thing oh my God, just shorts. It's December and Sam is the guy wearing shorts.
Zip offs.
Oh my God. Patagonia.
Oh. But the one thing he does not have is rope. He just can't find any good rope and he's mad about it. But what can you do? And meanwhile, Aragorn is like sitting in the corner, like head between his knees. Like, like when you're going to vomit and people are like, just put your head down and breathe deeply. Aragorn's just, And like
Paper
nobody's-
bag.
Yeah, and only Elrond is like, yeah, that's probably the appropriate reaction because Aragorn is the heir to a long line of like kind of secret kings, and he's the man going home 2,500 years after the fact to be like, I'm the answer to the riddle. I'm the new king. It's not, it's not a lady distributing swords out of a pond, but it's what we got.
Yeah.
That's a Monty Python reference for everybody. I just, oh
If
God.
you're 4 years old.
I thought that would be funnier.
Monty Python is always funny.
It is.
Yeah, shut up.
We're just trying not to interrupt you.
So they're on their way out. We're doing a
No.
bad job. So, oh, that face. So they're getting ready to leave, and Elrond is like, one more thing. Only Frodo has to go to Mount Doom. Everyone else, no contract. You just go as far as you want, as long as you want. And Gimli's like, it's shitty friends who leave when the going gets tough. And Elrond's like, it's going to get real tough, bud. You have no idea. Because again, Elrond's the only one who's been there. And he's not going. That was a very important decision on Elrond's behalf. Elrond will not be going back. But everybody else gets a pass. And Gandalf is like, yeah, we're gonna leave Rivendell, then we're gonna turn south for a while, and then we're just not gonna think too far ahead because it just gets worse every step of the way, and we don't need to think about how bad it's gonna be at the end because the implied message is we're not all gonna make it that far, so why bother?
No and then.
No and then.
No and then.
So they leave, and it is shitty and cold, and they're going at night in January. And Frodo has no memory of the first 2 weeks of the travel, except it's windy and shit. And there's no fires, and they just walk at night. And they've got Aragorn up front because he knows this country front and back, lights on, lights off, doesn't matter. And Legolas is in the back because he can see in the dark. So he's just making sure the hobbits don't fall out of line and turn into, I guess, a snack for whatever there is in the country.
Oh, keen eyes.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. God, Legolas is such an asshole. It gets worse. So they head out and they travel for a fortnight and they go 45 leagues. Did any of you guys do the math on that?
No, I
No.
actually wanted to ask what a league, like what is the distance of a league?
A league is 3 miles. So they went 45 leagues in 14 days, which is a fortnight. So they went about 10 miles a day in the dark. We walked that today.
Wow. Ugh.
But you got to do that every day for 2 weeks
No
at
way.
night.
No way.
At night
I'm not doing
January.
in January.
Not gonna do it.
No, thank you. Like what? You're gonna show up like 3 days later. You're gonna be Pippin knocking on the door. You were right. I was wrong. I don't know what to say. But really though, Pippin for a second, can we just talk? He's like, it would be so shitty to be left behind. I cannot bear that. And they are leaving the Shire to swing in the wind without any warning about what's happening in the east. Pippin's like, it's more important that I stick with my friends. So they travel this, like, what is it, 135 miles or whatever it is. And Sam is like, oh my God, these mountains are huge. Is this it? Are we here? And Gimli's like, the fuck? No.
Have you
No.
ever looked at a map?
Yeah, but Tolkien even says like Sam did spend a lot of time looking at maps, but like he's just map blind. He just doesn't. He just. I mean, maybe he can read. We know he can read.
He's a single hill. He's like,
You can write a damn good
That's
song.
the
Mountains.
mountain.
Right. Well, that's the thing. He's like, oh man, are these the mountains? And Gimli's like, no, the dwarves have a name for every one of these, and none of them is Mount Doom. It's what?
what?
So it's like, oh,
I turned right.
stop. Hey, did you know they drive on the wrong side of the road in Ireland?
Or other.
Well, okay, it's an opinion.
This has been exciting.
I don't want to talk about it.
We'll save it for the discussion.
So they're in this country called Holland that elves used to live in, but haven't for a very long time. And Aragorn and Gandalf are like, yeah, it's a nice place because the land takes a very long time to forget the presence of elves. Because again, elves are like, they're actually magic. And Legolas is like, yeah, I'm an elf and I'm here. And there ain't nothing. The stones are the only thing that remember the elves. And they say things like, wow, they dug up a lot of rocks. They built a lot of tall buildings. And they haven't been here in a long fucking time. And that's from a rock.
Wow.
So Legolas talks to rocks.
No, rocks talk to Legolas. Yeah, He doesn't. He hears them. He doesn't converse with them. But something else they don't converse with is the birds, because one day they're like sleeping in the daytime, and this huge flock of birds comes over the land at them. Huge, endless numbers of like grackles. Like, you guys ever see that? Like, a grackle is a small black bird, and they travel in like flocks of thousands.
Yeah.
I think it said they were crows, though.
But they are crows. Yes,
Okay.
these ones are crows. And Aragorn is like, get down. And they drop and they pretend they're not there. And these birds like circle over them and like clearly see them. And then they immediately wake everybody up and they're like, Gandalf, all the birds in the world were just here. And they're not from anywhere around here. These are from like Fanghorn Forest. These are from Dunlin down south. Like, they're from down south, like where Saruman is. And Gandalf's like, nope, that's not great. They're probably spies for somebody, and that's probably Saruman. Fuck. Well, we're still going the way we're going. And where are we going? Well, now we get to the first of the and thens. They're going into Redhorn Gate, which is a pass up into the mountains. It's Caradhras. It's like the Cruel is this mountain's name. It is a bad mountain. This mountain has bad mountain. It has personality and it's rotten.
It reminded me of the willow tree.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so they start going up the passes and it's getting cold and shitty. And at this point, Gandalf was like, day or night doesn't really matter at this point, guys. We just got to go. And Boromir's like, well, I know a thing or two about going up in the mountains. It's dumb, especially this time of year, but also we should bring firewood. And Gandalf's like, sure, everybody bring some firewood, but unless it's between death and fire, no fire. Okay, sure, whatever. And they all pack a little wood and up they go. And then it starts to snow. And snow and snow and snow. And everybody gets the feeling that like this is not natural, because the clouds turned on, the snow started falling, and it's gross, and they are hearing laughter on the wind and like voices, and rocks are coming out of like down off the mountain at them and stuff. And somebody says like, oh wow, the arm of Sauron is long if he can do this to us here. And Gimli's like, these mountains have been shitty and mean and awful and evil for way longer than Sauron's been around. This mountain in particular has been a bad place. It hates things. It hates us. For longer than Sauron's been around. This is known to dwarves. We know mountains. This one sucks.
So that mountain's just a piece of shit.
Just a piece of shit.
Cool.
So up they go, right? And they're trudging through, and they take a little break in this like sort of like a real shallow cliff face, where they're like, maybe this like 12-inch depression will shield us from something. It does not. Bill the pony stands in front of the hobbits and shields them for a little bit until the snow gets like up to the horse's belly. And then like the next thing you cut into is like, Frodo felt really warm and sleepy. So what that is that's hypothermia. Because he's dying. All the hobbits are dying. He wakes up to Boromir shaking him out.
Yeah.
Going, Gandalf, we're gonna lose them.
They're dying.
They're dying. Now that we're
very
between
small surface area.
yeah, the children you brought into the snowstorm, surprise, they're not wearing shoes and they're not doing great.
Oh my God.
Because hobbits don't wear shoes.
And the fat one needs another pair of underwear.
Gandalf's like, well, what if instead we give them some rum? Because they got some like elf liquor.
Yeah.
And he's like, give them one sip each
Oh my God.
to warm them up. Guys, if you drink liquor when you're extremely cold, you will feel warm. That's a feeling, not a fact. it hurts. It hurts you. You will just die faster or sooner. Get out of the cold.
Yeah.
If you're drinking pure liquor to survive in a storm, well, you should drink because you're not going to make it.
Yeah.
You should at least enjoy the ride. But again, one sip each for the boys. And then Boromir's like, well, what if a fire instead, Gandalf? Yeah, whatever. Go for it. I mean, we're not going to make it. This is fine. No. But so they do, because now they're between death and having a fire. So they go to have the fire, and everybody stacks their firewood up, and they're all looking at it going, does anybody know how to start a fire in a snowstorm?
Oh, this part was infuriating.
And
The wind.
even Aragorn is like, no, I can't. I got nothing. Gimli and Legolas, again, don't even try.
Right.
The hobbits are just like, they're mostly just making sure they're still breathing.
Yeah.
And Gandalf is just watching. So they look at Gandalf and like, aren't you a wizard of some kind? And he's like, all right, fine, whatever. And he takes his stick and blue and green flames, and he starts the fire, and he says, I hope you're happy. Now everything that's been watching us knows that Gandalf the Grey is with you.
Yeah.
And kind of the response back is like, what the fuck is watching us in this storm? If it can see us now, it can see us the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, what is the difference? And that's kind of the thing. It's like, what is the difference? Because they sit here around this shitty little fire, and Gimli is finally like, even if we make it up over this pass, because we're not there yet, we got to go higher. Even if we make it up, the other side of this is a kill box. It is a long trough that we have to walk down, a valley basically, where there's no protection from the storm, which is killing the hobbits as we speak. There's no protection from whatever's throwing rocks at us that we can't fight or see. We don't even know what it is. And the mountain can and will kill us if we go out there. We got to go back down. And nobody even pretends to disagree. They're like, yeah, okay, this is fine.
Get the fuck
Okay.
out of here.
So it's, yeah, we just
GTFO, bitches.
fucking okay.
I've been there. I hate the cold.
Oh, your cold Tourette's is so funny.
Yeah.
But so the snow is like chest deep at this point, and Boromir and Aragorn are like, high five, we're the big boys. This is what we're here for, because Boromir helpfully tells everybody that when minds can't solve a problem, bodies have to. Flexes real hard, and then they literally walk through the snow like plows to clear the lane. And they're making great progress, and everybody's like, oh, it's working real well. And Legolas is like, well, I guess if you have to go through the snow, that's a pretty good way to go about it. I'll catch you all on a flip side. Turns out elves can walk on top of snow. And he just like hops back up and runs away. And Gandalf's like,
You know what he said?
toodles.
He said, I'm a sneaky snake. Oh, slither.
But he just takes off down the mountain. And Gandalf's like, bring back the sun.
Fucking elves.
Right. And they go back down, and there's like, they all three of them come back, and Legolas like, surprise, I didn't bring the sun. But there's one big wall of snow left, and then basically there's no more snow on the other side of this wall. It is like the mountain is trying to trap us. We are going to be killed if we do not get through this snow like right now. The mountain is actively hemming us in to kill us. And everybody's like, okay, yeah, let's go. And they
Traps.
just like Boromir and Aragorn punch their way through the snow. They climb this snowdrift. They punch a path through. They get down the other side. And then Gandalf puts Gimli on the pony. And Aragorn and Boromir are back. And each of them grabs a hobbit. And they just kind of like through the snow. And they drag all the children through. And the dwarf is on the horse. And they get through. And there's like no snow on the ground on the other side. It's like a light dusting. And then they just go down. And there's nothing but snow and a couple of little stupid rocks. And Gimli's like, well, the mountain fucking got us, boys.
Yeah.
That didn't work. Now what?
Yeah.
And that's how the chapter ends. And there is no end then after this. We don't know what the plan is, because Gandalf clearly didn't have a plan after this part. They were supposed to get through the pass. They tried to get through the pass in January. They didn't get Donner partied, and I think that's a win.
But it was so infuriating for it to end that way. And then we have to wait a week to read the next part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what's also interesting is when it ends, Gandalf is kind of sassy about it, and
Big sassy.
and Aragorn, he's like sassing Aragorn to come up with a plan. And he's like, it felt like teenagers arguing about how they're going to ask a girl out. They were like, "Well, you do your way, and I think my way is better." And it was like, we've been calling them, and also to address something, we are well aware that the hobbits are not actually children.
Thank you. for
And we
saying
are
that.
aware that they are adults. We've been calling them the children and the taller folk the adults because they've been acting like children. But we've had some people online comment about that and I just want to acknowledge our listeners that we hear you.
Yeah.
We know that we're joking around when we say they're children. But the children look up to the adults generally here.
Except maybe Pippin.
Except maybe Pippin. He's
Pippin's
an
an
actual
actual
child. But they look up to these adults. So to see like Gandalf and Aragorn sort of bickering about like what they're going to do, and it was a lot of like, "I told you so." It felt like a kid in the backseat of a car listening to like mom and dad argue while they drive. And,
Well, they're also
you
very
know.
green to this whole adventuring thing.
Yeah.
Sure, they're 40, 50, whatever, but like they've never done this before, and
Right.
Aragorn has, and Gandalf has, and Boromir has.
Yeah.
So even though they may not be children, they're still like looking up to them as mentors.
Well, yeah, because everybody else here is like somebody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that too.
Except the hobbits. And even Frodo and Sam are somebody technically, because Frodo is the ring bearer and Sam is apparently his like attached at the hip friend.
And Bilbo's heir.
Right, and
Everybody
Bilbo's
else knows Bilbo. He's
Yeah.
somebody.
Yeah.
But like he's sort of an unfortunate somebody. Like Aragorn is a ranger, Boromir is a warrior of Gondor, Gandalf is a wizard, Legolas is the son of an elven king, Gimli is the son of Glóin, who's a storied adventurer dwarf. These are all individuals who have done and accomplished things.
Yeah.
The hobbits got most of the way to Rivendell, and one of them got stabbed. That's
The important one.
yeah.
The important one did.
They're
yeah.
doing great.
Yeah. Can I ask a question?
No.
Oh, well, fuck.
Next question.
So at some point, Gandalf and Aragorn are kind of arguing over whose plan is the better plan, right? So Gandalf wants to take this pass, and they don't really say what Aragorn's plan is, other than, he has a different route in mind to get them to where they're going. Do we know what that is?
Yeah, we know.
Oh,
But
okay.
like, no, so it's
Is that
forced-
plan B?
it's-
Is that what they're going to do
Yeah,
next?
plan B. They are arguing about plan B.
To be continued.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're arguing about what plan B is going to be because they have to go somewhere, right?
It sounded like it was more dangerous.
Yeah, it was not their first choice. Their first choice
Okay.
was to try to cross the mountains in January, and they picked the evil mountain. That was plan A. That was the best choice.
Yeah.
Because a recurring theme in this entire story is, wow, what a shitty situation we're in. What a bunch of bad choices we have.
Yeah.
We are going to try something. Like this is Elrond's plan is basically a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
Right. I felt that this chapter had a lot of humor in it.
It
There was a lot of like
Comedic relief.
odd comedic relief.
Yeah.
So if we could talk a little bit about that, it starts off very early on with Pippin, sort of challenging that somebody with intelligence should be on this group, meaning himself. And Gandalf's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And like calls him out on it.
Well,
Yeah.
then you're definitely not going.
He's like, "Yeah, not you. How about me?"
Right.
Which is so funny because I just picture this little hobbit and this like 7-foot like wizard arguing about who's smarter.
Right.
And he's like, "What are you doing, Pippin?" Like,
Yeah,
shut up.
so Gandalf really has it in for Pippin in this chapter, and I feel like they haven't interacted enough for Gandalf to have such strong feelings about Pippin.
But he
Am
knew
I
of him.
wrong, or is it based on like his ancestry?
It's like an ageism, right? It's like an
Oh,
old man
okay.
and talking to like this really outspoken child who knows what they're talking about. And again, he's not a child, but really though, he's probably like in the equivalent of like his early 20s.
Yeah.
And so like he's an adult, but he hasn't really done a lot, and he's got a shitload of opinions.
You need to remember, after Bilbo's birthday, Gandalf was hanging out off and on for 17 years. So he got to know the people that Frodo was close to very well.
Right.
Right. And then can you imagine Gandalf when the hobbits show up and he's like, oh fuck, this is it. It's them.
Those two.
I will say this entire chapter, Gandalf is extremely sassy and salty with everyone. I think that whatever happened to him when he was with Saruman, he still hasn't fully recovered. He is cranky, he is sore, he's in pain. He wants to get this over with. He's taken out on everyone, especially Aragorn, who he's super close to.
Yeah.
Spoke so highly of in a letter, and he's treating him like total crap at the end of this chapter.
How long was he up there?
Up where?
Good question.
Trapped by Saruman?
Oh man.
Months.
Months?
He left in July, right?
Yeah.
And it was October.
But he wasn't trapped up there that whole time.
No.
I don't know.
I would say 3 months. This would be my guess.
That's a long fucking time. I would be really
Anywhere
pissed
from
off,
1
too.
day to 3
At
months.
the top of a
somewhere in that
tower?
range.
Yeah. Yeah. Just waiting. Waiting to be rescued.
Being tortured.
Not even waiting to be rescued, just waiting. He didn't have an escape plan.
Yeah.
To
He
die.
had just told Radagast to tell all the the plan was to wait to die.
Yeah.
Because he
Jeez.
just told Radagast to send animals and messengers to Isengard with news. And it just happened that one of them was an eagle big enough to take Gandalf.
You
Yeah.
just got lucky.
That's
But
what-
yeah, I can understand why he would be extremely unhappy at that point in his life.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I also thought it was funny. Another thing that made me laugh was Bilbo 2 times. 2 times with Bilbo before they all leave, obviously. Yeah, the first time is when Frodo is sort of like discussing with Bilbo, like, oh my gosh, like, I have to take this ring to Mordor. This is like the craziest thing that's ever happened. And the whole world is at stake. And it's kind of all on me. And Bilbo's like, yeah, shut up. What do you think about this line for the book? They all lived happily ever after, which is the dumbest line ever written. It's so bleh, and like just excusatory of everything that could be happening, and also dismissive of Frodo. Like Bilbo's just sort of like, yeah, everything is crazy. He's like, he's already done this. You know what I mean? Like in his life, he's had the craziest thing that's ever happened, and he was on that. And then, so it's so funny because like you do sort of even within like their own family have a bit of like a dramatization, like the kid being like, "This is it's so important, you don't understand." And the elder's like, yeah, shut up. Like,
but it's actually important.
yeah,
Right?
it actually is like really important. And then immediately after that, you have where Bilbo gifts Frodo with his sword Sting. And was there a name for the mithril?
Nope, it's just a mithril coat.
Just a mithril coat of arms. And it's so funny because it's almost like this like really kind gesture where like, you know, Bilbo's acting like his father almost and like being like, take my stuff. You're going to need it to protect you. And then like in like the notes, it's like, well, also because I forgot to fix your stuff.
Yeah.
So instead of fixing your stuff, just take mine. It's fine.
Yeah.
So like that wasn't the plan. Like it wasn't, the plan was not to be sentimental and give you his stuff. So I thought that was a funny little like intro there to sort of kick off like on a very, very, very serious, you know, chapter of like, okay, the quest is beginning. We have the fellowship. It starts off with a couple laughs to kind of like ease into it.
Yeah, the banter is incredible
Yeah.
amongst all the fellowship.
It is.
So
Yeah.
many strong personalities clashing in the best ways. I really loved this first interaction, everybody together. Yeah.
And then once again, you have Pippin going up against Elrond.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you're just like, dude, what are you doing? It's like your drunk friend like arguing with the security guard and trying to get it. You're like, shut up, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Fine.
Why,
Whatever.
Speaking of the armor, why was it such a big deal that Frodo keep it like hidden under his clothes? Why does that have to be a secret?
Because it was a secret for Bilbo. That's literally it. Bilbo was like, when I had it, I kept it a secret. This is a secret treasure. You should keep it secret.
All right.
Yeah.
And that kind of becomes more obvious as the book goes on.
Okay. I'm sure that it will pan out and there will be a reason for that. But, you know, it was just kind of like, why?
Another thing that was really interesting was that we had another audio change from the text where something was said that was different than in the book.
Oh, did they use fuck? They actually they didn't edit it out.
They did.
No,
What?
no, they didn't write the F word. Did
We're
they?
going to fuck town.
Well, that's what it says on the map, right?
It was Mount Fuck, actually.
So in our book, like everybody knows, we're listening to it while reading, and the audiobook said that they were going to be heading to Red Horn Gate. However, our book did not say that.
Really?
Yes, both of our books, which means your book as well, because you guys have the same book. And the book says you're going to Dimmeril Dale.
There is an answer.
Because Tolkien is a linguist, and again, everything has more than one name. It's the same place.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Yep. The Dimmeril Stair, the Dimmeril Dell, it's sort of like on this side of the mountain, we call it Red Horn Pass. Once you're on the other side, it's Dimmeril Dell.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like the elves call it this and the dwarves call it this.
Yeah.
But I felt like, and I might have misinterpreted, but I felt like the one is one side. So it's the same loop of a trail, but one was from the east and one was from the west.
Yeah.
Like the ferry we took.
Yes.
Oh my! Speaking of like multiple names and shit, I love the line in there after like Gimli is like, "No, Sam, this is not Mount Doom. That's this. This is that. This is that. This is that. That mountain is
Yeah.
there. This has been as old as time. That's important to dwarves." And then later, one of the Hobbits is just like, "Yeah, man, he just went off. I learned so many dwarf names."
Yeah, I did too. I felt exactly the same.
Yeah.
Those are a lot of syllables and consonants.
The Elvish kind of flows and it's interesting. And a lot of the like Numenorian names based on Elven language, blah, blah, blah. Dwarvish is just all R's and K's.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Z-A, it's like Kazakarak. and
Baraz, Zurak, and Shathor.
Yes.
The names of the mountains.
Now say it again. Keep your teeth clenched.
Baraz, Zurak, and Shathor.
Now
Excellent.
There
that's
you
Oh,
go. That's my girl. She's a dwarf.
good one.
So one thing I want to bring up that I've noticed so far in the book is there's this prevalent theme of nature versus industry and humans. And I loved the evil mountain. And I loved how they were trying to climb up it and it was attacking them and just like messing with them. They heard laughter on the wind. And it really, since we met the willow tree, I've been really thinking about nature's POV in this whole thing. It reminded me of Gulliver's Travels. And when he's huge and all the little people are tying him up, the mountain's like, "Oh, you little fuckers, I'm going to get you."
Right,
If you think about it, all these people walking on them, Gimli's putting his axe into the mountain. It's just done. It's done with humanity. It's done being
stabbing him with a million tiny needles.
And he is finally giving some payback.
Yeah.
It's like you ever have a mosquito and say, "No, you're okay, bud. You do you."
Right.
No.
you
No.
destroy it.
Exactly. So I just love this theme of they keep going out in nature and nature's like, "No, we are fighting back. We are going to ruin your day. Like you've been ruining our day for thousands of years."
As a first-time reader, it took me about halfway through their trip up the mountain to realize it was the mountain and not Sauron.
But that was a nice mislead.
I was really
Yeah.
wondering. I was thinking,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, the arm of Sauron must be very long.
Yeah.
Because he's clearly sending the birds to spy.
I
It
literally have a
really
note
let
that's
it
like
in.
Sauron is fucking with them. And then 3
Yeah.
notes down goes, never mind.
Just a mountain. Just a really pissed off mountain.
Yeah.
But it's funny because Gimli and Gandalf have that same interaction.
Yeah.
Where it's like, Gimli's like, "Oh, the arm of Sauron must be long indeed to reach 300 leagues," which again is about 900 miles. And Gandalf's just like, "It is, but this ain't him."
Yeah.
So the birds are not Sauron or Saruman.
We don't know. It's the enemy.
Okay.
I think they are.
I
It's
think the
the
birds
enemy.
are.
I think the birds are spies.
Because I think the line that the birds are not from this area, that they have traveled here, was sort of like the
Yeah.
tell. You know,
I
of
agree.
like
Yeah.
these
And
are
the fact they're flying around like
these
they
are bad birds.
These
You know
birds
what
are
I'm
not
saying?
local.
So
birds.
you bring up the mountain, and I think it's really interesting you talk about that because, first of all, 1,000% agree. I was so infatuated with the character of the mountain.
Yeah.
But all 4 of us have now spent almost a week in Ireland, and the weather and nature here has been its own character. It has
Definitely.
changed. It's snowed. It's been frozen. It's been sunny and beautiful. I went from t-shirts to 17 layers and bought a very expensive jacket just to stay warm here. And earlier today, Pat and I were hiking in Killarney National Park, and the mountain was laughing at us when we were climbing up the steps to the top, and we could not get up.
Yeah. Also, like the 80-year-old grandmas like hustling up the side in their sweatsuits
Does
were
that make
also
you feel
laughing
great?
at us. Yeah. It was humbling. I grew as a person.
There was one line that really resonated with me. The first part of their journey was hard and dreary, and Frodo remembered little of it save the wind. For many sunless days, an icy blast came from the mountains. And I was like, oh, God, yeah, we felt that today.
We remember
Yes.
the other day when we drove, we were on was it the road?
The Ring of Kerry.
We were on the Ring of Kerry, and we stopped at that actual mountain pass, and the wind blew through, and
Yeah.
it was enough where you could like lean into the wind.
And it held you up.
If anybody wants to see a clip of this, we will be posting
Yeah.
a lot of clips from
Yeah.
our Ireland trip on our TikTok or our YouTube, or probably both, which is just full of a Took podcast on both of them. So you can see these great clips.
We were just standing in like 60-mile-an-hour winds, just like straight into our face. It
Yeah.
was insane.
When I would jump straight up, I actually got moved back without moving myself.
In a situation, in a scenario, in an environment like that, in a foreign land, I felt, and I have felt several times on this trip, that the environment, the land, is its own character, and at times was fucking with us.
Personally attacked.
Yes.
Yeah, but we also got the clearest rainbow I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
It's
Oh,
beautiful.
it was so
Like,
beautiful.
We actually we found the bottom of a rainbow.
We did.
There's not gold there. It's
It went
just
right to a house.
a bunch of sheep.
Yeah, a bunch of sheep in a house for
Bunch of
sale.
sheep
Very
and
cute
Carrie
house.
just fucking
Yeah.
hanging out.
Right, like Ireland is gorgeous, and I think it doesn't like us because we're degenerates, but that's okay.
Fair.
Yeah.
It does like us. We had a wonderful time.
Yeah, well, we tip well.
Dublin was tough against us.
Dublin was
They
brutal.
tried to break
with
our spirit.
temperatures.
What's the name of the mountain? Caradras or something like that?
Caradras, yeah.
So Dublin felt like Caradras, like it tried to break us. And it basically broke me.
I mean, I feel like we also tried to break ourselves with all the alcohol.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a very serendipitous chapter for this trip.
Yeah.
It felt right.
This chapter was about a group with a purpose heading out to accomplish something, and the land and the environment trying to break them.
I just thought of something. So we all have been taking turns driving, and there was this one moment
No.
where Pat had first got behind the wheel on a very narrow country one-way, two-way, which basically is supposed to be a two-lane road, but it's so small. The one car barely fit.
Only one car.
We got the biggest car in Ireland.
Yes.
did.
And so very
It's
long story
wider
short,
than these lanes.
we had to back up for another car because we just both couldn't fit. And we almost fell off into a ditch off the side of the road. And in that moment, that was us experiencing Aragorn realizing he had to go back down the mountain.
Yeah.
We were like, no, plan B. just going backwards. It's also pitch black in the country.
Popped it
No
in
lights.
reverse.
No lights.
Just backing up down this stupid road. And I'm just slowly inching backwards. And you guys in the back going,
Stop,
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 stop, stop,
ditch,
stop,
ditch,
stop.
ditch, straighten out, straighten out, straighten out. I'm like, I am straight,
Cut
I
it,
am
cut
straight.
And then some lady in her 60s just like floors by us at 80 kilometers a mile or whatever it is.
God.
No,
Come on,
there
moms. I
are-
still can't say it.
Killamoms.
Kill 'em, moms.
There are some serious Death Wish style driving going around here.
It's crazy.
I wish we had a Honda Civic some days.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But,
But, also, I'm really impressed by the driving out here.
Yeah.
They can drive.
They can. But like,
Taxi
it was
drivers.
really interesting because I read the chapter before we came over here, and then we skim it again before we do our podcast, and just how much of it really resonated so much more now that we've been here for 5 days.
Yeah.
Well, and part of that is because one of the landmarks that we identified was this yew tree that Tolkien saw, and it was one of the things that inspired him among many other things. But we got to see that today in a monastery from the 15th century or something.
Yeah.
And it was fucking amazing.
It's a 400-year-old yew tree.
In a courtyard that's
It's
almost,
inside.
yeah.
And to me, a yew is like a bush. It's like a little shrub.
No, this thing's 3 stories tall.
Yeah.
And it grows up out of this courtyard that's maybe 20, 25 feet to a side.
Yeah.
And they built like it feels like they built a monastery around it, and it goes. This tree just comes straight up. It's the only thing in this courtyard.
Which how
It's-
elven is that?
yeah.
I know.
And it's like the trunk kind of
It's like
twists
twisty,
as it
yeah.
goes up, and then it just goes up taller than the walls.
Yeah.
And this monastery is a ruin around it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he loved coming to Ireland and vacationing and doing like trails and seeing nature. And you can tell in his descriptions, not only the beautiful countryside he, grew up in and lived in, but when he went on, holiday, as they say, he came here and got such inspiration.
There's some serious Shire vibes out in different parts of
Yeah.
Ireland. Like
In that bar called the Shire.
Yeah, we also found a bar called the Shire, which is the world's only Lord of the Rings themed bar. Shout out to the Shire. There were several parts of this trip where I could easily see inspiration, for so many different parts of this. Some of the mountains just had these ridges and these sort of
In the mist. and the
aggressive
cloud.
mist and mists around them, and aggressive sort of like it's almost like knives at the top.
And like the
sometimes.
giant eye of Sauron
Yeah, they were
just
jagged.
in the distance. And I'm just
yeah.
Maybe I'll tell you about that one.
yeah, the red star deep in the east.
Yeah.
No, but when we were driving through the mountains and there was literal mist just
Whipping
sweeping
past.
across the roadway, we were like,
Well,
"Holy
how about
shit, it's the Misty
how about the
Mountains."
register or the visitor center for the Cliffs of Moher? It's in the mountain.
Yeah.
Little
Just
hobbit
like
hole.
a hobbit
Side of the
hole.
hill.
It's
Yeah,
like
it was
in-
just
it's like
dug
in
into
it.
the side of
Yeah.
the mountain.
And
So-
the amount of birds that have been stalking us.
Yeah. I feel like on the East Coast in the US, you have a bunch of different kinds of birds and they're all, whatever.
Yeah.
They're pretty, some of them, and the rest of them are just birds. But all the birds here are like serious. They all wear black and white. They're all like, these birds are sharp.
They're formal.
Yeah, they mean
These
business.
are formal birds.
But also,
They're like black tie dress
yes,
birds.
but that's the birds. And then you have the sheep that are white with the black
Black and
face.
white.
And then every friggin' cow we saw, except for those 2 brown cows.
black and white.
The horses you guys rode, the friggin' dogs we see. Like, I'm not a
the
lunatic.
dogs.
I want to say more than 3/4 of the animals we've seen have just been black and white or black or white.
Yeah, on our trail ride, we did a trail ride today through Killarney National Park.
On a horse?
Most of the on horses. Most of the horses were white.
Not obviously.
There was one black one. You were riding the black horse, and there was one bay horse, one brown one.
Actually, when my horse came up, I'm like, ooh, I get a little black rider horse. It's like,
Your horse was so cute.
oh, good. Shout out to Gally. Thanks for being a good boy.
And Clive.
Yeah. I just was reading through my notes here and I remembered another thing about Pippin, which is that he's called or referred to as a plague and a nuisance. And that's such a great insult for somebody. Just call them a plague or a nuisance.
I'm pretty sure somebody's called Pat that at some point in his life.
Oh, geez.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh
And
my
he would like take
gosh.
pride in that.
You have to do something to earn that.
What did you call it? Like hooligan?
Hood rat shit.
Hood rat shit.
Oh, my God.
There we are.
So has anybody in this group seen Super Troopers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was a moment in this chapter where
Oh,
there
where is
is
this going?
almost an exact. It felt like a scene from Super Troopers was pulled right out of this chapter, which is in Super Troopers, which is like a comedy movie from 2004, and it in the intro scene, the cops pull over these druggy kids,
no.
and they're like, pull over, and the kids are like, we've already pulled over, we can't pull over anymore, and there is this a paragraph where Bill the pony is carrying wood, and they're like, put some wood on him. And I forget who wrote it because I was typing so fast, but somebody's like, he's already full of wood. He can't carry any more wood. And it felt like it was just the same scene, and I was watching it, and it made me laugh a lot.
But there is such humor in what's going on in this story that is juxtaposed against the like awful reality of what they're attempting. Like at every single turn, right?
Yeah.
Like there's some fun moments where like the Frodo having hypothermia and like slipping into this weird dream where he's narrating a passage for Bilbo to write in his
That
book.
was weird.
And Bilbo's like, "This sucks. This is not what we should be. You only got this far."
Right.
And then he gets woken up by Boromir shaking him awake and yelling, "The hobbits are dying, Gandalf." The
And then
hobbits
it cuts
are like,
to them on like Aragorn and Boromir's shoulders. Just like true children.
yeah. But
Like
Yeah, there's all these moments that are like they're kind of funny, and some of them are intentionally funny, and it's all set against this truly awful quest they're on, because every time they've had a serious conversation about what's going to happen, everybody is like, we can't see, we don't know what's going to happen, so let's hope for the best.
Yeah.
And the best just keeps not happening.
Yeah. Don't plan too far ahead. We're not going to talk about 3 steps ahead. We're going to go one step at a time, because
that was a specific conversation they had. They're like, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to...
Right.
no and then.
No, and then.
So I have to say, too, with this chapter, it had some of my favorite dialogue that we've gotten to see yet in the book. Did anyone have a favorite line?
I have one open right now.
Great. I have one, too. So I'm next.
Gandalf talking to Pippin. There are many maps in Elrond's house, but I suppose you never thought to look at them?
I loved that. He's so sassy. He must be sore. his joints are creaking.
Yeah.
Okay, so mine is a little later in the chapter. It says, "Let him not vow to walk in the dark who has not seen the nightfall."
Ooh.
So you and I think, had the same. You just had a more specific line of that back and forth. But
Correct.
when we were reading it, I was sort of really taken aback at the beauty of the writing here. It's a duel between Gimli and Elrond. And It's a vocal duel. And in the way it's written is it goes back and forth, and it's like a timed duel with their words.
Right.
Like a play on lyricism. So Elrond begins, "For you do not yet know the strength of your hearts, and you cannot foresee what each may meet upon the road." And Gimli responds, it's almost like literally like your turn, my turn, your turn,
Back
my
and
turn.
forth.
And Gimli responds, "Faithless is he that says farewell when the road darkens." For which Elrond then responds, "But let him not vow to walk in the dark who has not seen the nightfall." To which Gimli responds, "Yet sworn word, nay, strengthen quaking heart." And Elrond ends the conversation and goes, "Or break it."
I know. It was like playing chess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
beautiful.
it
It
was
was so
beautiful.
cool. Gimli had these phrases, these like hurrahs, like on deck. And
Yeah.
Elrond had a shutdown for every one of them.
Well, they clearly both have to be the one that has the last word in
Yeah.
the argument or
Well,
the
they
statement.
also just have different values. Gimli is like, my word is my sword. And like,
And Elrond's like, swords break.
Yeah, if I say I'm doing this, I'm doing it. And Elrond's like, well, you don't have to.
Well, but
you don't know what you're about to sign up for.
and that's it. And the context for this exchange is when Elrond is telling everybody who's going, like, Frodo's the only one who has to go the whole way because he's literally the guy with the ring. Everyone else, you just do the best you can.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That brings up something that I absolutely fucking loved, which was when Elrond saying, Pippin, you would never sign up. And maybe it's Merry and Pippin, but he's
No,
like,
it's Pippin.
He was like, you would never sign up if you knew what's ahead. And Gandalf sort of sits there thinking, and he's like, Frodo has to go, and he has no idea
Neither
what's
would
ahead.
Frodo.
Right, yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
that's not good enough
Hold
of a
your
reason.
tongue.
You know what I mean? To
Yeah.
Elrond.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because once again, there's that theme of if you have fear,
Sassy Gandhi.
yeah, it's not going to help you on this quest.
Can that be a cocktail?
Oh my God.
Sassy Gandhi.
Well, sassy Gandhi.
You're our food for thought, girl. Sassy Gandhi.
We're gonna mix a bunch of weird shit together and call it the sassy.
No,
Yeah.
but I think he leaves Frodo in some ignorance because he doesn't want him to have fear in his heart because the energy feeds off of that. And he literally has something that feeds off of fear around his neck.
Yeah.
So he can't be fearful at all
Yeah.
or he will succumb to the ring. Every time he's gotten a little bit of anxiety, boom, he puts the ring on, something really terrible happens.
Yeah.
So they're trying to keep him in a happy, peaceful,
God, just keep him in
drug
a bubble.
state. Have some more of the elven wine, Frodo.
Dude, well,
It's
that was,
okay, bud. It's not okay.
Yeah.
It was Miruvor.
What?
Miruvor was the elven sort of
The cordial.
yeah, the cordial. The cordial
That's
of
what they call it.
Imladris.
Imladris being Rivendell.
Yes. And my note there when that happens is it's like a video game.
Right.
Like when they have like a health and you're like,
Yeah.
boop, and it like
Yep.
goes back to the top.
Health
Right.
potion.
But this is not the first time that an elf has just given a hobbit a little
Yeah.
something to drink.
I'm
Did
assuming
any-
it's
sorry.
the same thing every time. Oh, maybe not.
Different elves, different places.
Speaking of Rivendell, I love that we have yet again another new name for it, Last Homely House.
Oh, really?
Once again, they're just They just keep dropping these other names for the same building.
Right. It's the last
beautiful.
homely house going east. It's like the elves are like the civilization ends.
It's World's End Hostel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I actually did have a quick question. I don't know if anybody else sort of picked up on this, or maybe it was just me and I missed it, and I missed a line that led into this. But the fell winter of 1311 is mentioned when white wolves invaded the Shire over the frozen brandywine. So there's only one other time in the book where white wolves running over a frozen river comes up. Is this the last time that the Buckland alarm was raised? Like that they were referencing when it's been 100 or...
Yeah. Bilbo is the only hobbit old enough to possibly remember that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a kind of a throwback to that little bit of like Hobbit lore. I love that he tossed that in there.
Yeah.
Because like it didn't do anything for the narrative.
It did nothing.
But it answered the question of when, Fatty's running for his life, that gets thrown in. And I kept thinking, I wonder when the last time was.
Yeah, and they said that when Fatty's running for his life and he's raising the alarm, they're like, "Oh, the alarm hasn't been rung in 100 years
Yeah, 100
since
years.
the wolves came." And then
And I
they
really
like leave
appreciate
it.
that about him. He always ties up little loose ends of
Yeah,
And then-
I didn't even catch that.
And then they were like, "Oh, by the way," and like literally this line came out of nowhere. It
Yeah.
references nothing, and it doesn't. It's not in reference to anything. It just happens to just be like the fell winter when the white wolves invaded the Shire.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, wait, is that the same thing they were talking about?" And speaking of
Fell winter.
fell winter, I had a little question for everybody, and your answer cannot take place this week on this trip.
Okay.
When was a time in your life, think back, when you were vastly underdressed for the weather?
I got one. We went on a camping trip. Pat and I went on a camping trip with some friends. I believe it was April in like upstate New York, and it was fucking cold. And we've got a nice tent and nice sleeping bags, and I am sleeping with a hoodie on, and I am so freaking cold. I didn't get a wink of sleep the first night. It was so cold. So the second night, we got in our cars and traveled out to the closest CVS, however far that was, and I got these little sticky heating pads that are supposed to be for like muscle cramps, and I got like 10 of them, and I just stuck them all over my body before I got in my sleeping bag that night, and it kept me warm.
There you go.
I love
And
that.
that was the coldest I have ever been.
Yeah.
So this is going to sound like I'm being over dramatic, but it's literally the first 4 years that Chris and I started dating. Actually, technically it started in 2015, so before we started dating. I had this really cheap old coat, and I'm one of those people where I have one thing, and even if it sucks, I just wear it until it falls apart because I was raised by an Eastern European father. And so I was freezing all the time, and it got so bad that Chris couldn't take it anymore. 1 year for Christmas, he just bought me a $300 coat. He's like, "This ends today." Because we would go to do anything, and I'd just be shaking outside the entire time. It was like paper thin.
It was terrible.
I couldn't do anything in the winter. I was like, I'm just staying inside.
Yep.
When I was in high school, we went to Long Beach Island, New Jersey, in the off season, in like late September. And we just wanted to go for a drive. It's like 45 minutes down to the shore. But everybody's like, "Yeah, we're going to do a little like polar dip." Okay, fine. So everybody's like got their swim trunks on and their shirts and a towel. And we go. And everybody dives in the water. And we all freeze, man. We come out blue.
Oh, God.
And the wind is blowing, and we're all, "Fuck, this was stupid. Okay, I guess we should go now." And we go back, and no, we weren't going home. There was a whole itinerary planned out for like they were going to drive up to Barnegat Lighthouse and see the lighthouse, and then we're going to drive to the other end of the island and look at Atlantic City across the bay and all this stuff. I was the only one who didn't bring a change of clothes.
Oh my God.
Oh, no.
So I wore a wet t-shirt and wet swim trunks in like 45-degree weather with a towel
Oh my God.
because I wasn't going to stay in the car. Look, I'm not smart now. I was not better when I was a kid.
You're an actual hobbit.
Back in 2018, I had a job up in Calgary in Canada, and I was looking at my jackets before I left, and I was thinking, well, it's really cold there. I should get a nice winter jacket to go. And I went to LL Bean at the mall, and I said, I'm going to Calgary, and I need something that would keep me warm. I need like a real, legitimate winter jacket. And the guy handed me and said, if you're going to be going to Calgary, this is the only jacket you should take. You won't feel anything. And I looked at it, and I would have looked like an Eskimo. It had big fur. It was huge. And I was like, well, there's no fucking way I'm buying this jacket. It's like $400. So I instead bought like a puffy jacket that you see people.
$45.
It was still expensive. It was like $200, but it's like puffy.
Right.
And I went to Calgary, and it was -38.
Oh, Jesus.
My beard and my eyebrows froze. They were solid. And it was like I was wearing a t-shirt in that jacket. And I
goddamn.
think about that all the time. Nowadays, I don't mind looking dumb if it's going to get the job done.
Right.
Because I made an aesthetic, like a materialism choice of like, I didn't want to look dumb. And I had a week in -40-degree work outside.
Oh God.
And I was dying. It was so cold.
So it's gotten down to what, in the 30s since we've been here?
Yeah.
30 degrees Fahrenheit. Shout out
-2 Celsius.
Shout out to everyone wearing shorts,
T-shirts. So many
and
people.
t-shirts and leather skirts.
The Irish
With no
people are
tights.
insane. Good, dude. You guys are crushing it with the
I
way you're handling weather.
They're
here.
acclimated to the cold,
And
I
I'm
guess.
always blown away by how many people are sitting outside having a leisurely dinner and beer, taking their coats off and just sit in the 32
Drinking
degree
a beer in 30-degree weather outside.
You crazy. Meanwhile, I've got my scarf and my hat and my hood pulled over my
I'm
head.
shivering under the blanket. I'm like, should I wear socks? No,
It's
I don't want to wear
actually
socks.
raining.
Yeah, at home it
Wait,
hit.
that's one of my favorite things when we went to Scotland. It's pouring rain. There's a man sitting there, full pint, cup, a bowl of
He had a
soup.
sandwich and a
Oh yeah. He was just sitting there drinking and eating
Like, in the rain?
In the
in a
pouring rain.
rain.
There was no
Outside,
umbrella.
eating
He was just. He didn't
Like
give a
these
shit.
guys, these people don't give a fuck.
They're gonna live their life, weather be damned.
Oh man.
I love it. I actually want to kind of try to bring back
Yeah.
an essence of that mentality.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a moment where Legolas sort of, as you talked about, he like jumps up on the snow and he just runs out to go scout. And the way they described it, it reminded me of like when like your cat gets the zoomies. And we get the zoomies, not the same way, but or at least I get the zoomies when like I'm trying to take the trash out. It's like late at night and I'm wearing like a t-shirt, I'm underdressed, and we're whatever, I have shorts on or something like that. And I go at super speed, and I'm the fastest I've ever been in my life, apparently. And when I was reading this, I was like picturing, our cats eat too much. They
Zoomies at 2 a.m.
take off
The poop
and they're
zoomies.
zooming around, and I'm like, dude, that's literally Legolas. Is he just like took off with zoomies?
Well, I had a note on what I thought of that.
WTF, Legolas?
Fuck, Legolas. What are you fucking doing?
He is a cat.
So here's the
He's just like, I'm gonna go over the snow.
so real quick though, he waited until that moment to tell everybody that was a thing he could do.
That's why he's a cat.
He's
What the fuck,
slumming it with
Legolas?
everyone else, and he's like, "Oh, this sucks. This is how you people live." Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
You know what? If I had to live like this, I'd only want to live 30 years too.
Yeah. But he's also in the way back, so he's letting the hobbits, everyone, clear the path, and then he's just like prancing in the very back
just
on
stepping in
tiptoe.
footprints, like, ooh, this is novel.
So he's expended
Yeah.
zero energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the laughter on the wind.
He's
It's just
100%.
him in the back being snarky.
100% just fucking around. Because remember, Legolas's whole deal is his dad sent him as a messenger to Elrond to say, "I'm sorry we let Gollum go."
Yep.
And then the message that his dad is going to get back is,
Your son's
Dear
going to Sauron.
"Dear sir or madam, your son is going to Mordor."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thanks for
God.
letting Gollum go.
Yeah.
The last sort of image for the chapter that it sort of leaves on is Gimli riding Bill the pony,
Oh my God.
which feels like probably the correct proportional.
Yeah.
Well, I just picture like if you're seeing the like Aragorn on a horse, and then you're seeing Gimli on Bill the Pony riding, and you're like, what is this? Like my eyes are messing with me.
they could be just like different perspectives.
Yeah, you're like, what the fuck am I
He's like
looking
a
at?
mile behind.
Speaking of Gimli on the pony, today when I tried to get on my horse, I overshot, and so I went to jump up and just almost jumped over the horse. And I thought, when I was rereading this chapter to remember it, I was like, how he gets up is kind of awkward. I'm like, that was me today.
Yeah.
I was pretty awkward getting on that horse.
I mean, I literally was just jumped right over. Woo!
So, speaking of scale, we stayed at a castle, and the castle had some dogs.
Oh my god.
Two tiny little fluff dogs and like a whole fucking wolfhound.
Scottish Wolfhound.
Motherfucker.
And he was the friendliest, best boy.
He was amazing, but his chin also came up to like
Your nipples.
Well, you got to put perspective here because Pat's nipples are around his belly button.
Oh my God. They're
Around
not.
your belly button.
What? What does that mean?
no.
Your knees.
That's the term.
Laura just had a stroke over here. She went too many kilometers.
Those kilometers. They really get you.
All right. I know that
myself in the nose.
I know that we're in Ireland and we're away when we're not in our studio, but is there any chance at all that we have a food for thought treat tonight?
This
There's
is the food for thought.
certainly a treat.
Yes.
Yeah,
We
let's
do.
go.
We do.
Rock and
We
roll.
have something. Whether you call it a treat
Wait,
or
wait.
not.
I'm gonna play us out into this transition.
Can you
Please
do the Oompa
don't.
Loompa?
Oh.
All right, we're back. So bad.
I want to die.
That's not going to make it in the suitcase home.
I don't know if this this
Why don't we just sign it?
off-brand Guinness
It's
flute.
not even the right way to spell Guinness.
It's Glynis.
Oh,
It's from a gas. It's from a ferry gas station.
Cool.
Cool.
On
Yeah.
that note,
You put it in
Laura,
your mouth.
what have you come up with while traversing across this country?
So, in terms of food for thought, we've got a lot of random travel stuff here. So the first thing that we noticed was we found some sourdough craft beer pretzel rings.
The sourdough of the rings.
So we've got some rings for all of us, just little snackies.
Or the Eye of Sauron.
Yeah. The second thing we found for our special drink for our New Year's episode, we found some Bunratty mead,
Bonrati. No, I'm just kidding.
drink of the High Kings of Ireland. All right, so we actually picked this up here in Ireland at the Cliffs of Moher. So first and foremost, we can taste each of our little treats, but we have a little game afterwards.
All right, I'm ready to try this mead.
All right, let's try the mead. I think it's going to be extremely different from the mead we had on the first episode.
Because it's got a lot of wine in it.
Wait,
Because that
smell
was-
it first and describe how it smells.
All right.
Strong.
It smells very strong.
This is our sommelier segment.
Oh, it smells like whiskey.
This might be the elven wine
I don't know.
that Gandalf gave the hobbits.
I don't think Bunratty's going to sponsor us, though.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Especially after we're like, bleh.
Bottoms up, folks.
Sláinte.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Happy New Year's.
Happy New
Happy
Year.
New Year's.
Happy New Year's.
Oh, that's interesting.
Okay,
That-
so it doesn't taste like it smells.
Sweeter.
Yeah, I thought it was going to taste like whiskey.
Yeah,
OG.
It's a great color.
I
It's actually
thought it
pretty
was gonna.
sweet.
I thought it was gonna taste like a solvent.
I thought it was going to
But
taste
it tastes
like
more like antifreeze.
absolute ass.
It's
No,
actually better than that.
no, I'm kidding. It's actually
It tastes a
Well,
lot
let
more
me
like
try
honey than I thought it would.
Yeah.
Considering it's a honey drink.
no. Once you get in there, it's actually very like there's like some sweetness. It's not bad. I like it.
I'm
the
not-
smell is very misleading.
I'm not really a mead guy. I don't like buy it often, so I don't
Yeah.
really know what I'm comparing it to.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
it's not the worst thing I've ever
I've
tried.
had a lot of
terms of-
very different meads.
In terms of hangovers, it's gonna fuck your whole life up.
yeah,
Yeah.
it would be.
Like I would argue if you gave me just straight up like a heavy vodka, I'd be like,
It's only
just as much.
14.7%.
But the sugar's going to get you in
It's
the morning.
only 83%.
So
It's like wine. Wine's like 13%.
it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
But do you like it enough to drink the whole bottle?
By myself?
Yeah.
No.
Well, then you better win.
All right.
Okay.
So,
Who's blacking out tonight?
have you noticed that we have some rings
Yes.
and we have a bottle?
Yes.
We're gonna.
We're gonna do the one ring toss.
Let's all grab our glasses.
Yeah, you might not want to move your glass.
I just
punishment for
want to clarify
losing.
that the ring does fit on.
Yeah.
It most certainly fits on the bottle.
This is not some carnival.
Okay.
Yep. All right.
I'm gonna go first.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Chris is going first.
So I'm gonna go first. Wait, what are the rules?
We don't know.
Okay, ready?
No. All right.
You gotta
Definitely
toss.
not the rule. You
I'm
have to toss
tossing
it
it.
from the edge of the table.
Tossing it up.
Okay,
Watch your
your
wine
hand
glass.
can't go
Edge
over
of the table.
Your hand can't go over the table.
I'm gonna make a mess, and we're not.
Here,
we're not
go for
Like a fucking frisbee. Oh.
Okay, well, it's Chris's bottle.
All right. Anybody? Whatever.
Just
You want me to hold it for you?
Yeah,
All right.
because if this breaks, we are so fucked.
Yeah. If we don't hold the bottle and it like hits the floor and shatters, we're in so much trouble.
All right, fine, do it. But we
I
gotta.
want to throw.
I'm
Okay,
gonna do
Laura's
it.
in charge of cleaning up all the crumbs.
Okay, fine. I'm gonna do it.
All right, here you go.
I won.
Did you?
Classic.
Did you though? Okay, there's.
All right.
Classic.
Winner has to drink the rest of the bottle.
Hey!
Happy New Year!
Thank you guys so much for joining in. Unfortunately, I did not win the ring toss. Laura did not win the ring toss. Patrick did not win the ring toss. My lovely wife, Robbie Jean, won. And so my lovely wife will be drinking the rest of the mead tonight.
Really, nobody wins this ring toss.
She's going to drink the mead while I learn how to play this flute better.
I'll need it.
Yeah, you will.
To all of our amazing listeners, do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, to our TikTok, subscribe to our podcast on whatever platform you're listening to, and give it a share. Give it a follow, give it a share. Tell some people about it. It's been a lot of fun just sharing this literally at the bar tonight with our friend Gabriel. He was so excited that we had come to this country and was staying at the hotel he worked at because he loves Lord of the Rings, and he was immediately going to go check it out. That's so cool to hear, and I want other people to feel like they could join our journey as they join basically Laura and I's first time going through this and rejoin Pat and Robbie Jean's time rereading this. So anyway, I just want to say thank you all so much for being awesome.
Also, special thanks to Nicole at the front desk, to Gabriel at the bar, to Donna and Dara.
Yeah. Staff at the
Montenotte.
The staff at the Montenotte has been awesome. They
Yeah.
let us do this podcast here. We promise we'll clean it up. And to everybody listening, have a wonderful new year. And thank you so much for listening to our podcast. We love you. We appreciate you. Let's start the rest of this year off with a bang with our next chapter.
A Journey in the Dark.
Ooh.
We'll see you next week for A Journey in the Dark, which is chapter 4 of book 2 of Fellowship of the Ring.
Of part 1.
Happy 2025.
Happy 2025.
Always do this.
You fucked up.
You don't have your microphone with me.
Cheers. I'm going to have a fun day tomorrow.
Fuck.